Chapter 1. The Silent Yogi of the Himalayas. Long ago, beyond the noise of cities and the movement of human life, there stood the great Himalayan mountains. High above the clouds, where the air was cold and pure, a powerful yogi sat in deep meditation. This yogi was Shiva, also known as Mahadev, which means the greatest god. He sat on the snowy peak of Mount Kailash. His eyes were closed, and his mind was completely still. Around him there was silence. The wind moved gently across the mountains, and the rivers flowed quietly below. Shiva did not live like kings or warriors. He did not wear golden crowns or rich clothes. Instead, he covered his body with ash. A tiger's skin lay beneath him as a seat. His long hair was tied above his head in thick locks. From those locks flowed the sacred river Ganga. On his forehead rested a small crescent moon. Around his neck was a snake, calm and peaceful. This appearance surprised many people. Most gods were associated with wealth, beauty and luxury. Shiva looked very different. But this difference had meaning. Shiva represented freedom from material desire. He showed that true power does not come from possessions, but from control of the mind. In his hand, he carried a trident called the Trishul. The 3 points of the trident symbolized creation, preservation, and destruction. These 3 forces are the cycle of the universe. Shiva was known as the destroyer, but destruction did not mean evil. In the cosmic cycle, destruction clears the way for new creation. Without destruction, nothing new can grow. Because of this, Shiva was both feared and loved. Some people saw him as a mysterious ascetic who lived far away from society. Others saw him as the most compassionate protector of devotees. Many sages traveled to the Himalayas hoping to see him, but Shiva rarely spoke. His meditation was deep and continuous. Yet even in silence, his presence affected the entire universe. The mountains, the rivers, the forests and the stars all existed within the balance that Shiva protected. For countless years he remained in meditation, watching the universe quietly. But one day a great change was about to begin. A young goddess named Parvati had made an important decision. She would seek Shiva and win his heart through devotion and patience, and that decision would change the life of the silent yogi forever. Chapter 2. The Devotion of Parvati. In the great Himalayan kingdom lived a wise king named Himalaya. He was known as the ruler of the mountains. His kingdom was filled with snow-covered peaks, clear rivers and peaceful forests. The king had a daughter named Parvati. From childhood, Parvati was gentle, intelligent and deeply spiritual. She loved nature and often spent time in prayer and meditation. As Parvati grew older, she heard many stories about the great yogi Shiva who lived on Mount Kailash. Sages and travelers spoke about his wisdom, his calm mind and his great power. These stories filled her heart with respect and devotion. Parvati believed that Shiva was not only powerful but also pure and compassionate. She felt that her life's purpose was connected with him. One day she made a decision. She would dedicate herself to spiritual practice so that she could become worthy of Shiva. Parvati began a life of discipline and devotion. She spent long hours in meditation and prayer. She ate simple food and lived a humble life. Her determination surprised many people. A princess could have lived in comfort and luxury, but Parvati chose a path of patience and effort. For years she continued her spiritual practice in the forests and mountains. The seasons changed around her. In winter, cold winds covered the land with snow. In summer, warm sunlight filled the valleys. But Parvati remained steady in her devotion. Many sages who lived in the Himalayas noticed her dedication. They admired her strength and faith. Meanwhile, Shiva continued his deep meditation on Mount Kailash. His mind remained calm and silent. But the sincerity of Parvati's devotion slowly began to touch the universe itself. Her prayers were filled with purity and patience. And in the quiet stillness of the mountains, something powerful was beginning to change. The silent yogi, who had remained in meditation for countless years, was about to open his eyes. Chapter 3. The Marriage of Shiva and Parvati. For many years, Parvati continued her meditation and devotion in the mountains. Her prayers were sincere and her mind remained focused on one goal, to unite with Shiva. Her dedication slowly became known among sages and divine beings. They admired her patience and spiritual strength. At the same time, the universe faced a serious problem. A powerful demon named Tarakasura had become very strong. Because of a blessing he had received, he could only be defeated by the son of Shiva. But Shiva still lived in deep meditation and had no family. The gods began to worry about the future. They knew that only the union of Shiva and Parvati could restore balance in the universe. Many divine beings prayed for Shiva to accept Parvati. One day, Shiva opened his eyes from meditation and observed the devotion of Parvati. He saw her patience, humility and purity of heart. Instead of wealth or power, she had chosen discipline and faith. Shiva understood that her devotion was true. He decided to appear before her. When Parvati saw Shiva standing before her, she bowed respectfully. Her years of patience had finally brought her face to face with the great yogi. Shiva spoke to her calmly and gently. He recognized her strength and her devotion. Soon, the news spread across the heavens that Shiva and Parvati would be married. The wedding became one of the most extraordinary celebrations in divine history. The gods, sages, and celestial beings all gathered in the Himalayas. The mountains were filled with music, prayers, and joy. Shiva arrived with a unique wedding procession. His companions included yogis, spirits, and mystical beings who followed him from the forests and mountains. Some of them looked unusual and wild, which surprised the people attending the ceremony. But Parvati's family welcomed them with respect. Parvati appeared in beautiful wedding attire, shining with calm happiness. When Shiva and Parvati finally stood together, the ceremony began. Sacred chants filled the air as the divine couple walked around the holy fire, promising loyalty, balance, and partnership. Their union represented harmony between meditation and compassion, power and kindness. Shiva, the silent yogi, and Parvati, the devoted goddess, had become partners. The mountains, the rivers, and the skies seemed to celebrate their union. From that day onward, they lived together on Mount Kailash, where their presence brought balance and peace to the universe. Chapter 4. Life on Mount Kailash. After their sacred marriage, Shiva and Parvati began their life together on the peaceful mountain of Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash stood high in the Himalayas. Snow covered its peaks and clear rivers flowed from its slopes. The mountain was quiet and pure, far from the noise of cities and kingdoms. For Shiva, this place was perfect for meditation and spiritual practice. Parvati soon made Kailash a warm and welcoming home. Even though the mountain was cold and silent, her presence filled it with kindness and life. Many beings visited Kailash. Sages came to seek wisdom from Shiva. Devotees traveled long distances to offer prayers. Shiva listened to everyone patiently. He spoke simple words, but those words carried deep meaning. Near Shiva always stood his loyal companion, the sacred bull Nandi. Nandi guarded the entrance of Kailash and remained devoted to Shiva at all times. Nandi listened carefully whenever Shiva spoke. Because of this devotion, he became known as a symbol of loyalty and discipline. Life on Kailash was peaceful but never ordinary. Sometimes Shiva sat quietly in meditation for long periods. During those moments, the world seemed to slow down. Parvati often watched him with respect. She understood that his meditation protected the balance of the universe. At other times, Shiva shared moments of laughter and conversation with Parvati. Their relationship showed harmony between strength and compassion. Many stories describe the wisdom they shared together. Shiva often explained deep spiritual ideas to Parvati. Their conversations later became important teachings for sages and seekers. The simple life on Kailash taught an important lesson. True happiness does not depend on wealth or luxury. It comes from peace of mind and harmony with nature. Even though Shiva was one of the most powerful beings in the universe, he chose a life of simplicity. Ash covered his body, snakes rested around his neck, and his clothing remained simple. These symbols reminded devotees that spiritual freedom is greater than material success. And on the quiet mountain of Kailash, the divine family lived in calm balance with the world around them. Chapter 5. The Birth of Kartikeya. In the peaceful home of Mount Kailash, the divine couple Shiva and Parvati lived in harmony. Their presence kept balance in the universe. At that time, a powerful demon named Tarakasura had become very strong. Because of a special blessing, he could only be defeated by the son of Shiva. The gods and sages became worried. They saw the suffering caused by the demon and prayed for protection. In time, a divine child was born to Shiva and Parvati. This child was known as Kartikeya, also called Skanda or Murugan in different traditions. Kartikeya was not an ordinary child. From the beginning, he showed courage and intelligence. Many stories describe his unique birth. Some traditions say that his energy was carried by the sacred river Ganga and later cared for by 6 divine mothers. Because of this, Kartikeya is often shown with 6 faces. Each face represents awareness in every direction. As he grew, Kartikeya became a strong and wise warrior. His vehicle was a beautiful peacock, which symbolized pride transformed into strength. Even though he was young, Kartikeya carried great responsibility. The gods saw in him the courage needed to protect the universe from powerful enemies. Under the guidance of Shiva and Parvati, Kartikeya learned discipline, strategy, and wisdom. He understood that true strength is not only physical power, it also comes from clarity of mind and control of emotions. Devotees began to respect Kartikeya as a symbol of bravery and leadership. His presence reminded people that courage must always be guided by wisdom. And in the divine home on Mount Kailash, the family of Shiva continued to grow, bringing strength and protection to the world. Chapter 6. The Birth of Ganesha. On the peaceful mountain of Kailash, Parvati often spent time caring for her home and practicing meditation. She valued peace and privacy during her daily routines. One day, Parvati wished to take a bath without disturbance. She decided to create a guardian who would stand at the entrance and protect her space. Using clay from the earth and the power of her divine energy, Parvati shaped a young boy. She gave the figure life and treated him with great affection. The child opened his eyes and looked at Parvati with respect. She named him Ganesha. Parvati instructed Ganesha to guard the entrance and allow no one to enter while she was bathing. Ganesha took this duty seriously. Even though he was young, he stood confidently at the doorway. After some time, Shiva returned to Kailash. He approached the entrance of his home, expecting to walk inside freely. But Ganesha stopped him. The young guardian explained that his mother had given strict instructions that no one should enter. Shiva was surprised. He had never seen this boy before. The attendants of Shiva tried to explain that Shiva was the master of Kailash, but Ganesha remained loyal to Parvati's command. A conflict began. The young boy stood bravely against powerful beings who followed Shiva. Even though they were strong, Ganesha continued protecting the entrance with determination. The situation became intense. Finally, Shiva used his great power and struck the boy, separating his head from his body. When Parvati came outside and saw what had happened, she was filled with deep sorrow and anger. She explained that the boy was her own creation and her beloved son. Shiva realized the seriousness of the situation. To calm Parvati and restore life to the child, he gave an important command. He instructed his followers to bring the head of the first living creature they found facing north. The followers soon returned with the head of a young elephant. Shiva placed the elephant head upon the child's body and brought him back to life. From that moment, Ganesha appeared with the head of an elephant and the body of a human. Then Shiva blessed him with an important role. He declared that Ganesha would be honored before any other deity in prayers and ceremonies. Because of this blessing, Ganesha became known as the remover of obstacles and the god of wisdom. And on Mount Kailash, the divine family of Shiva grew stronger with love, understanding and balance. Chapter 7. The Poison of the Cosmic Ocean. In ancient times, the gods and the powerful beings known as Asuras desired a special substance called Amrita, the nectar of immortality. They believed that this nectar would give them strength and long life. To obtain it, they decided to churn the great cosmic ocean. This event became known as Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean. The gods and the Asuras used a giant mountain as the churning rod and a great serpent as the rope. Together, they began turning the mountain back and forth in the vast ocean. As the churning continued, many wonderful and powerful things appeared from the ocean. Precious gems, divine animals, and sacred beings emerged from the waters. But suddenly, something very dangerous appeared. A deadly poison called halahal rose from the depths of the ocean. The poison was extremely powerful. Its smoke began spreading across the universe, threatening all life. The gods and sages became frightened. None of them had the power to stop the poison. In their fear, they turned to Shiva. They prayed for his help. Shiva listened calmly. He understood that if the poison continued to spread, it would destroy the world. Without hesitation, he decided to protect the universe. Shiva took the poison into his hand and drank it. The poison was powerful, but Shiva held it in his throat instead of swallowing it. Because of the poison, his throat turned deep blue. From that moment, Shiva became known as Neelkant, which means the one with the blue throat. The universe was saved and the poison remained safely contained within him. This story shows the compassion and courage of Shiva. He accepted great suffering to protect all living beings. For devotees, this act represents the idea that true strength includes the willingness to sacrifice for the well-being of others. And the name Neelkant continues to remind people of Shiva's protection and kindness. Chapter 8. The Story of Bhasmasura. Among the many beings who performed penance to gain power, there was a demon named Bhasmasura. He wished to become extremely powerful so that no one could challenge him. Bhasmasura began a long and difficult meditation to please Shiva. He stood in the forest for many days, focusing his mind and offering prayers. Shiva is known for his compassion toward devotees. When someone performs sincere penance, Shiva often grants a blessing. After a long time, Shiva appeared before Bhasmasura and asked what he desired. The demon asked for a strange and dangerous power. He wanted the ability to turn anyone into ashes simply by placing his hand on their head. Shiva, following his nature of generosity, granted the blessing. But soon, the demon's true intention became clear. Bhasmasura became proud and reckless. He began using his new power to threaten others. No one could easily oppose him because his touch could destroy them instantly. The demon even tried to test the power on Shiva himself. Shiva understood that the situation had become dangerous. At that moment, Vishnu decided to help restore balance. Vishnu took the beautiful form of Mohini, a graceful dancer. Mohini appeared before Bhasmasura and began dancing with great skill. The demon was fascinated by the dance and tried to copy every movement. Mohini slowly guided the dance, raising her hands and moving with elegance. Bhasmasura followed every step, trying to impress the dancer. Finally, Mohini lifted her hand and placed it gently on her own head as part of the dance. Without thinking, Bhasmasura copied the same movement. The moment his hand touched his own head, the power of the blessing activated. In an instant, the demon turned into ashes. Through wisdom and cleverness, balance returned to the world. This story reminds people that power without wisdom can become dangerous. It also shows that intelligence and patience can overcome even the strongest force. Chapter 9. The Cosmic Dance of Tandava. Among the many forms of Shiva, one of the most powerful is the form of Nataraja, the Lord of Dance. In this form, Shiva performs the Tandava, a cosmic dance that represents the rhythm of the universe. The dance of Tandava is not an ordinary dance. It symbolizes the constant movement of creation, preservation, and destruction. In the universe, nothing remains the same forever. Stars are born, planets change, and living beings grow and pass away. The Tandava dance represents this eternal cycle. Shiva is often shown dancing inside a circle of fire. The fire symbolizes the energy of the universe. In one hand, Shiva holds a small drum called the Damaru. The sound of the drum represents the beginning of creation. The rhythm of the drum is believed to contain the sound from which all language and knowledge emerged. In another hand, Shiva holds fire. This fire represents destruction, the power that removes old forms so new life can appear. One of Shiva's hands is raised in a gesture of protection. This gesture tells devotees not to fear the changes of the universe. Under Shiva's feet lies a small figure representing ignorance. By dancing upon it, Shiva shows that knowledge and truth can overcome confusion and illusion. The dance of Nataraja teaches an important idea. The universe is always moving, always changing. Life includes both creation and destruction, but these forces are a part of a larger balance. For many devotees, the image of Shiva dancing reminds them that change is natural and necessary. Even when the world seems chaotic, there is still a deeper rhythm guiding everything. In this way, the cosmic dance of Shiva continues to symbolize the eternal movement of the universe. Chapter 10. The Wisdom of the Adi Yogi. High in the silent mountains of the Himalayas, Shiva often sat in deep meditation. Snow covered the peaks and the air remained calm and pure. In that quiet place, Shiva focused his mind on the deepest truth of existence. Because of his deep meditation and spiritual knowledge, Shiva became known as Adi Yogi, which means the first yogi. Devotees believed that he was the first being to discover the science of yoga. For a long time, Shiva remained silent. He stayed absorbed in meditation, observing the nature of the universe. Many beings saw him sitting in stillness, but very few understood the knowledge within him. Among those who wished to learn were 7 great sages known as the Saptarishis. Their names were Atri, Bhrigu, Angiras, Vasishtha, Pulastya, Pulaha, and Kratu. These sages wanted to understand the path to spiritual freedom. They believed that Shiva possessed the wisdom that could guide them. The sages waited patiently near Shiva. Days passed, then months, and even years. They continued their meditation with discipline and dedication. Finally, Shiva opened his eyes and saw their sincere effort. He realized that they were ready to receive his teachings. Shiva began sharing the knowledge of yoga, the path that unites the body, mind, and spirit. He explained that true understanding comes from balance and awareness. A calm mind allows a person to see the deeper truth of life. Shiva taught the sages different methods of yoga. Some methods focused on breathing and control of the body. Other methods focused on meditation and awareness of the mind. The sages listened carefully and practiced these teachings with great discipline. Slowly, they began to understand the deeper nature of existence. After receiving this knowledge, the 7 sages traveled to different regions of the world. They shared the teachings of yoga with many people. For this reason, Shiva is remembered not only as a powerful deity, but also as the first spiritual teacher of yoga. The image of Shiva sitting in meditation reminds devotees that true strength begins with inner peace. And in the quiet mountains of the Himalayas, the Adi Yogi continued guiding seekers towards wisdom and self-understanding. Chapter 11. The 12 Jyotirlingas. Across the land of India, many temples are dedicated to Shiva. Among them, 12 sacred temples are considered especially important. These temples are known as the 12 Jyotirlingas. The word Jyotirlinga means a pillar of divine light. Devotees believe that in these places Shiva appeared as an infinite column of spiritual energy. The story of the Jyotirlinga reminds people that Shiva's true form is beyond shape and beyond limits. The sacred symbol known as the Shiva Linga represents this endless divine presence. Each Jyotirlinga temple carries its own history and spiritual importance. Pilgrims travel from different parts of the country to visit these holy places. One of the most ancient Jyotirlinga temples is Somnath, located near the coast of Gujarat. This temple has been rebuilt many times through history, showing the strong devotion of Shiva's followers. Another sacred temple is Mallikarjuna, located on Sri Salem Hill in Andhra Pradesh. Surrounded by forests and mountains, this temple attracts thousands of devotees every year. The famous temple Mahakaleshwar stands in the city of Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Here, Shiva is worshipped as the Lord of time and eternity. In the peaceful Himalayan region of Uttarakhand, the temple of Kedarnath stands among high snowy mountains. Pilgrims often walk long distances through the mountains to reach this sacred shrine. The sacred temple Kashi Vishwanath is located in the ancient city of Varanasi, one of the oldest living cities in the world. Devotees believe that dying in this holy city brings spiritual liberation. Another important Jyotirlinga is Trimbakeshwar, located near Nasik in Maharashtra. The sacred river Godavari begins its journey near this temple. In Jharkhand, the temple of Baidyanath is known for its strong spiritual atmosphere. Devotees travel there especially during the holy month of Shravan. The temple of Nageshwar stands near the coastal city of Dwaraka in Gujarat. It represents Shiva as the protector from negative forces. The sacred temple Rameshwaram Swami is located in Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu, near the ocean that separates India and Sri Lanka. Pilgrims visit this temple as part of an important spiritual journey. The temple Grishneshwar near the caves of Ellora in Maharashtra is also counted among the 12 Jyotirlingas. Another holy shrine is Omkareshwar, located on an island in the Narmada River in Madhya Pradesh. The shape of the island is believed to resemble the sacred sound Om. The final Jyotirlinga temple is Bhima Shankar, located in the forested mountains of Maharashtra. Devotees travel there to pray in the quiet beauty of nature. Together, these 12 temples represent the presence of Shiva across the land of India. For many devotees, visiting the 12 Jyotirlingas is a lifelong spiritual journey. Each temple reminds people that Shiva's energy exists everywhere, in mountains, rivers, forests, and in the hearts of those who seek truth. And through these sacred places, the light of Shiva continues to guide millions of devotees on their spiritual path. Chapter 12. The Sacred River Ganga. In the ancient land of India, rivers were not seen only as water flowing across the land. Many people believed that rivers carried divine energy and spiritual blessing. Among all these rivers, the most sacred was the river Ganga. For many generations, people believed that the waters of Ganga could purify the mind and the soul. But long ago, the river did not flow on earth. She existed in the heavenly world, moving freely through the skies. At that time, a noble king named Bhagiratha ruled his kingdom with patience and wisdom. Even though he was a powerful ruler, he carried a deep concern in his heart. Many generations before him, his ancestors had turned to ashes because of a powerful curse from the sage Kapila. Their souls could not find peace. The sages explained to Bhagiratha that only the holy waters of the river Ganga could purify the ashes and bring freedom to the spirits of his ancestors. Hearing this, Bhagiratha decided to bring the river Ganga down from heaven to earth. But such a task was extremely difficult. Bhagiratha began a long and intense meditation. He prayed with deep focus and patience. For many years, he performed penance to request the help of the gods. Finally, his devotion pleased Brahma, the creator of the universe. Brahma appeared before Bhagiratha and agreed that the river Ganga could descend to earth. But Brahma also gave a warning. The river carried enormous force. If she fell directly from heaven, the impact would destroy the earth. Only one being possessed the strength to control such power. That being was Shiva. Bhagiratha then turned his prayers towards Shiva. With the same patience and devotion, he meditated again for many years. Shiva saw the sincerity of Bhagiratha's effort and decided to help him. Out of compassion, Shiva agreed to receive the river safely. Soon the moment arrived for the river's descent. From the heavens, the mighty Ganga rushed downward with tremendous force. Her waters fell like a powerful storm. But Shiva stood calmly beneath the falling river. As the waters reached him, he caught the entire river in his long matted hair. The powerful current became trapped within the tangled locks of Shiva's hair. For a time, the river remained there, unable to move freely. Bhagiratha once again prayed to Shiva, asking him to release the river so it could flow across the earth. Shiva gently allowed a stream of the river to escape from his hair. The waters began flowing across the mountains and plains of India. Bhagiratha guided the river to the place where the ashes of his ancestors rested. When the sacred waters touched the ashes, their souls were purified and finally found peace. From that moment, the river became known as Ganga, one of the holiest rivers in the world. Even today, millions of people visit places like Haridwar, Varanasi, and Gangotri to pray beside her waters. The story of Ganga reminds people of patience, devotion, and the compassion of Shiva. And the image of Shiva with the sacred river flowing from his hair continues to symbolize his power to guide even the strongest forces of nature. Chapter 13. The Legend of Tripurasura. In ancient times, three powerful demon brothers performed intense meditation to gain special blessings. Their names were Tarakaksha, Kamalaksha, and Vidyunmali. The three brothers wished to become stronger than all other beings. Through long and difficult penance, they pleased Brahma, the creator. When Brahma appeared before them, he asked what blessing they desired. The brothers requested a special protection. They asked for 3 strong cities made of gold, silver, and iron. They also asked that no one should be able to destroy them easily. Brahma granted their wish, but he placed one condition. The 3 cities would move separately in the sky and they would come together in one straight line only once in 1,000 years. Only at that exact moment could someone destroy them with a single arrow. The 3 cities were built by the skilled architect Maya, who created magnificent flying fortresses. Because there were 3 cities, they became known together as Tripura. At first, the demon brothers ruled peacefully, but as time passed, their power made them proud and careless. They began troubling sages and disturbing the balance of the world. Their armies spread fear among many kingdoms. The gods became worried about the growing power of Tripura. They realized that only one being possessed the strength and wisdom to restore balance. That being was Shiva. The gods approached Shiva and asked for his help. Shiva listened calmly and agreed to protect the universe from the growing threat. The time soon arrived when the 3 flying cities moved into a single line in the sky. This rare moment happened only once in 1,000 years. Shiva prepared for the battle. According to ancient stories, even the elements of the universe helped him. The earth became his chariot. The sun and moon became its wheels. The mighty Mount Meru became his bow, and Vishnu himself became the arrow. With complete focus, Shiva aimed the powerful arrow toward the 3 cities of Tripura. At the exact moment when the cities aligned in the sky, Shiva released the arrow. The arrow moved with incredible speed and power. In a single instant, it destroyed the 3 cities and ended the rule of the demon brothers. Because of this victory, Shiva became known as Tripurantaka, which means the destroyer of Tripura. After the battle, peace returned to the universe. The sages and gods expressed their gratitude to Shiva for restoring balance. The story of Tripura teaches an important lesson. Power without wisdom can lead to pride and destruction, but when strength is guided by responsibility and awareness, it protects the world. And through this act, Shiva once again showed that his purpose was not destruction alone, but the protection of cosmic balance. Chapter 14. Shiva as the Destroyer and Transformer. In the great cycle of the universe, everything follows a natural rhythm. Creation begins, life grows, and eventually every form changes or disappears. In Hindu philosophy, this cycle is guided by 3 great forces. Brahma represents creation, Vishnu represents preservation, and Shiva represents transformation and dissolution. Many people describe Shiva as the destroyer, but this word can sometimes be misunderstood. Shiva's role is not to destroy without purpose. His role is to remove what is old so that new life can begin. In nature, change is constant. Seasons change, rivers shift their paths, and even stars are born and disappear in the vast universe. Shiva represents this powerful truth of transformation. When the time of the universe reaches its final stage, it is believed that Shiva performs the great cosmic dance of destruction. This event is sometimes described as the Mahapralaya, the Great Dissolution. During this time, the forms of the universe slowly disappear. Mountains, oceans, planets and stars return to the silent cosmic energy from which they were created. But this destruction is not an end without hope. It prepares the universe for a new cycle of creation. Because of this role, Shiva represents the balance between ending and beginning. His symbols reflect this deep meaning. The Trishul, the sacred trident he carries, represents the three forces of creation, preservation and destruction working together. The Damaru, the small drum he holds, represents the sound of creation. From its rhythm, the first vibrations of the universe are believed to have emerged. The sacred ash that covers Shiva's body reminds devotees that all physical forms eventually return to dust. Even powerful kings and great cities are temporary. Only truth and consciousness remain eternal. The snake around Shiva's neck represents awareness and control over fear. The snake is often seen as a symbol of energy and transformation. Through these symbols, Shiva teaches that life should not be controlled by attachment or fear of change. Instead, people should learn to accept the natural movement of life. For devotees, Shiva represents courage, inner strength, and freedom from illusion. He reminds people that transformation is a necessary part of growth, and through his calm presence, Shiva continues to guide the universe through its endless cycles of change and renewal. Chapter 15. The Eternal Meaning of Mahadev. Across thousands of years, the stories of Mahadev, also known as Shiva, have inspired millions of people. In villages, cities, forests and mountains, devotees continue to remember his presence with respect and devotion. Shiva is not only seen as a powerful god of mythology. For many people, he represents deeper spiritual ideas about life, truth and inner awareness. Unlike kings who lived in palaces, Shiva chose a simple life. He lived on the snowy mountain of Mount Kailash, surrounded by nature. His body was covered with sacred ash and his clothing remained simple. This image teaches an important lesson. True peace does not come from wealth or power. It comes from understanding the nature of life and maintaining balance within the mind. Shiva's family also represents harmony. With Parvati, Ganesha and Kartikeya, the divine family shows love, responsibility and mutual respect. Even though Shiva possessed great cosmic power, he remained calm and compassionate. He listened to the prayers of sages, kings and ordinary people. Many devotees believe that Shiva is easily pleased by sincere devotion. Because of this quality, he is often called Bholenath, the innocent and kind Lord. Throughout India, many sacred places are connected to Shiva's worship. Temples like Kashi Vishwanath in Varanasi, Kedarnath in the Himalayas, and Somnath in Gujarat attract millions of pilgrims each year. During the festival of Mahashivratri, devotees stay awake through the night, offering prayers, water and milk to the Shiva Linga. They remember the stories and teachings connected with Mahadev. For spiritual seekers, Shiva also represents the path of meditation and self-discovery. As the Adi Yogi, he reminds people that the mind can become calm and clear through discipline and awareness. His image sitting in meditation symbolizes the search for truth within oneself. Shiva also represents balance between opposite forces. He shows that strength and compassion can exist together. Silence and action can work in harmony. The river Ganga flowing from his hair represents life and purification. The crescent moon on his head symbolizes the cycle of time. The third eye on his forehead represents higher awareness. Each symbol carries a message about understanding life more deeply. For this reason, the figure of Shiva continues to remain meaningful even in modern times. People see in him the courage to face change, the wisdom to seek truth, and the calm strength needed to overcome fear. And as long as people search for peace, knowledge and balance, the timeless presence of Mahadev will continue to guide them.